Welcome, everybody. I'm Misty Beryle, the owner of Mindful Living Wellness Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, a place to bring intentional healing and balance through physical, mental, and emotional care. Our goal is to help you in your journey through education of self-sustaining tools such as talk therapy, life coaching, emotional wellness, mindful yoga, and any variety of healing and wellness. Our purpose for these podcasts are to share information about staying well, however that may look like for you, our listener. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Please Wash Your Hands. And welcome. So we are evolving into video now. We've been doing our podcast audio, and much to my chagrin, we're now videotaping them. Videotape. What an ancient term. But we are going to be able to grace you with our presence. So today we have with us a special guest. His name is Michael Waldron. And we're excited to be able to bring him into the Mindful family. Tell us a little bit about you and where you're from, just a little bit of background.
Okay. Well, I'm a yoga teacher, and primarily the thing that I do, I'm a yoga practitioner. Yoga is clearly something that's very big in my life. And I've been doing it for quite a while, whether that's just from and through the action of reading books, going to workshops, going to classes, practicing in my daily life. There's all sorts of stuff that really yoga gives me. But anyway, I'm from Connecticut. I've been here in Utah for 13 years as of October, so 13 years and 12.
And a 12. I like that.
I moved out here when I was 15. Came out here for the snow, more or less, because of the mountains. And yeah, sort of fell in love with it. I really like it here, but I feel like I've been stuck here and wanting to move for a really long time. Pretty much ever since I moved here, actually, I've been wanting to move.
What grounds you here? What keeps you here? Just circumstances, or?
Yeah, I guess circumstances, my own decisions. It's kind of like having an apartment and a job and whatever here. It makes it so easy to just stay here. It's one of the reasons why I got a van, so that I can travel and not be stuck in one place.
Nice.
And maybe live in San Francisco for a while out of the van, live in Seattle for a while out of the van, live in New York. I like cities.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you park when you do stay?
Oh, right out there right now.
Nice. Use our parking lot anytime.
No, I actually have an apartment, and so I just park it in the parking lot.
Well, when you travel, where do you find space?
Well, I have not done any traveling yet, particularly.
Okay.
But, I mean, there's all sorts of places that are okay with you parking. I don't really want to park in a Walmart parking lot.
That was
honestly.
literally like in my mind, 'cause I'm like, well, I've seen, people hunker down in Walmart parking lots.
It's definitely an emergency option that I'll have.
Yeah.
But rest stops, you can park there
nice.
and basically live there because they're meant for people to come and stay. And I was thinking yesterday or today sometime, what if I brought an extension cord to a rest stop? Could I plug in my electric heater there?
Nice.
And not have them find out? Yeah. The cops come, they're just like, well, you can't do that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than rest stops and Walmart, I don't know. I'm kind of scared, but I'm also kind of excited to find out because I know it's going to be a learning experience throughout. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I've wanted to have a girlfriend to do it with. Because when you're doing stuff with people, it's less...
It's fun to have a partner.
Yeah, it's fun to...
Partner in crime.
Yeah, it makes everything more exciting. You have more ideas. You can bounce off each other, And so, yeah.
I love that. When we were talking earlier about your passion for yoga, you had mentioned part of some of the conversations, but you had mentioned your desire to teach people kind of the history of yoga.
Yeah.
Where is it from your own learning and love of learning that you want to then give that to others? Like, what's...
I just think it's interesting to know that stuff, really.
I agree.
Because it's like one of the things being, there are so many women that do it nowadays, but when it started, it was primarily young men and boys that were doing it. Pretty much all gurus were male. Some were female. Actually, in a lot of tantric sects, they're sex, S-E-C-T, not sex. There were female, I don't know about gurus, but tantrikas. Okay. And those were like the teachers of Tantra, because they were more connected to Kundalini and the divine feminine, which, I mean, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, they both have different things that are of benefit, but I feel almost like the divine feminine is more powerful for teaching. You can connect into the divine feminine, you can teach really well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. We may include some of the clips of our breathing exercise before, but Michael was gracious enough to help me ground.
Hoping to.
It's amazing what just sitting with yourself, that meditation or the breathing exercises, what kind of healing do you see when you're teaching a class? Do you get to see any of that? Or
I don't really focus on their healing, honestly. I focus on my own healing.
Yeah? And then it's just shared with the people that are
Yeah, because I kind of think of it as I am creating the space for myself to heal, which then gives people the opportunity to heal. Because if your teacher is going through not necessarily the same stuff, but is resonating in the space of healing, then you can connect into that more, especially if you relate with them. And a lot of the time, if they're healing and you're healing, then you're going to relate with them more easily.
Kind of like as a guide, when you're following, you're able to, let's see. So, see if I can tap into my thoughts and put it into words. When you were saying that, it made me realize when you're in the same space as somebody else healing, like the teacher, versus a lecture in college or something, this is a space where you can exist in there and kind of tap into the energy that the teacher is doing their own healing and kind of rise to that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it's almost your own internal work versus being told what to do. I think it's easier when you have to kind of do that work.
Yes.
Easier or better to learn.
It's better.
Better to learn. It's more longevity, I guess, is because when you're told something, you're given a piece of paper and you read it, but when you have to do the work, it's longer lasting, I feel like.
And you can't, when it comes to healing, you can't tell someone how to heal. Exactly. They can only really figure that out on their own. You can kind of point in certain directions.
Guide, right?
Guide. Yeah. But you can't be like, okay, you're just going to take this, do that, whatever to heal. And there are, I mean, in a way that's kind of what guiding is, but it's more just like offering options, suggestions, and then you as the student, you don't have to listen to any of that. But if you do listen to that, maybe it'll work great. Maybe not. Who knows?
Well, I love that because we are so individual and unique that we're not all going to learn the same way. I mean, many conversations that I've had in my past of public schools and whatnot, totally different subject. My phone.
Thought that was me.
No, my phone's going off. But, we're so diverse as humans, of course we're going to learn differently. And so having the opportunity to share space with a guide, a teacher that allows you to do your own level of learning, to me is wonderful. And I feel like anyone who's listening or watching can, and it's not maybe familiar with yoga or what that might look like, it seems to me, because I'm pretty new at this too, that it's a space where you can go and do your own level of wellness. And it's not just the athletic side. Like, I'm going to go do yoga and be strong and balanced. Like, it's a mind, body, spirit thing where you can create this space to teach people how to do that without it being... I've always been intimidated by classes because I'm not a very good follower. So, like, any type of aerobic class or Zumba when it was big, like, I wouldn't go because I was always off step and I felt stupid. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. So what I want to convey, because what I'm understanding and what I'm hearing is that a person could go to a yoga class, especially with you here at Mindful, and be able to feel comfortable, whatever their level is, maybe, because it's their own personal thing. They don't have to feel like they got to keep up with the class, or I'm not doing the movement the way that other person's doing it, because it's such a personal thing.
Right. Yeah, totally. When you're practicing yoga, really, it's about observing yourself and maybe having someone to compare yourself against, like the teacher, watching how their form is, and then aspiring to that, but then also knowing where you are and being where you are in your own form, in your own body, in your own practice, and really getting to know that, because you can't change anything. I feel like a lot of yoga is about transformation and changing yourself to align with your highest potential, to come in harmony with yourself. There's so many of us in the world that are just out of alignment and out of harmony. And so yoga is a really good practice for coming into alignment, but you can't really get there unless you know finally where you are right here, right now, in these shoes, in these pants, you know, in this mindset.
I love that. And honestly, just that breathing practice that we did before, as I was going through it with you, you're a wonderful guide, by the way. I love it.
Thanks.
Very good. I couldn't believe, I felt like I was on a string just kind of floating, like, oh, okay, I got this. Like, and I really did need to ground and center. And as we went through that practice, I felt more confidence. I'm like, I got this. Like, this is okay. But so it's amazing when you talk about how we're just kind of like, we need to be centered. I feel what that means now, just immediately I shouldn't say immediately, just from that experience. Even though there have been other instances in my life where I've been able to ground and it's nice, it just, I don't know, I yearn for that. I'm like, I need to do that more often. I need to incorporate that in my life. And just that would that be a guided meditation or a guided breathing? What would you call that?
I would call it a breathing,
exercise.
Let's just say breathing exercise.
Yeah.
Meditation is not really something that you practice per se. Concentration is something that you practice.
Okay.
But meditation, it's more of a, I don't really know how to describe it. So I'm not going to try. Actually.
That's actually okay. When I started getting more into mindfulness and it was introduced into my life, I remember learning a lot about meditation and how people get it wrong so often. I won't be able to tell you what exactly it is, but I think I know what it's not. And what it's not is turning off your mind. Because I feel like with meditation, from what I've gathered, is it's a time where you can sit with yourself and focus on, you can learn concentration, practice concentration, but it is not silence. And I think I was always discouraged, and I've talked to many people that are discouraged by meditation because they're like, I can't turn off my brain. I just can't. And I'm realizing that's not actually the purpose. You want to sit with yourself and listen to your brain. Listen to all the thoughts, these wonderful things. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, you learn how to maybe guide those thoughts and bring back, and well, even the breathing exercise, be able to bring back to center or however that may look. But I think sitting with yourself and being okay with your own thoughts, turning off the world. That's probably the thing where people get it wrong, is it's not turning off your brain, it's turning off the world. Being able to just kind of sit and be still.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
I would say that turning off the world, there's all sorts of different ways that people meditate, so there's not one way that's right or wrong.
Okay.
But the reason I say that you can't meditate is because meditation is more something that happens in the 8 limbs of yoga. Dharana, which is concentration, that's the 6th limb. That is what most people consider meditation. Meditation is the next part, dhyana, and that flows from concentration into it. So you're concentrating on something, and you don't have to, concentration doesn't have to be the only way to meditate, but it is one way. Concentrate on something like you're focusing on the breath, or you're concentrating on the physical body, like how we were following down with the breath down to the soles of the feet, and then up, exhaling in the navel. And then just focusing on the soles of the feet. We were just concentrating on different parts of the body, really. And when you concentrate on different parts of the body, you're like collecting prana in these areas, prana being life force. You're collecting energy and life in this area. and whatever the area is, you're filling it with the luminous nature of what you really are. And that's a whole different topic that I'm not going to get into.
It's another podcast.
Yeah. But when you concentrate on something enough, that's when you get to this state of not mindlessness, but mindfulness. You're so full of, your mind is so full of whatever object you're concentrating on, whatever it is, your body, your breath, a symbol, or just a pure sense of luminosity, of light, of whatever. And you can really concentrate on anything. But the thing about concentration is when you concentrate on something, the object that you're using, it has ideas, definitions, labels, all this stuff, connotations, emotions, everything attached to that idea. And so those ideas tend to get in the way of those definitions, whatnot. They get in the way of experiencing yourself clearly. Wow. And so that's why I really like focusing on the breath with a meditation practice, with a concentration practice, because the breath is pretty straightforward. We don't have, I mean, there's definitely things that we attach to the breath, like when we're breathing really rapidly, there's an emotion that comes along with that.
Yeah.
When we're breathing really smoothly, slowly, there's emotion that comes along with that. But there's not as many definitions that you could put upon the breath. And yeah, so I got off topic from what I was talking about originally, and
concentration. We were kind of talking about meditation and following the thoughts, and what you said is beautiful, and it actually, I'm okay to segue into.
Okay, great. Segue away.
So when you were discussing, or when we were talking about attachments and how sometimes like all the clutter is how kind of what I labeled it in my brain as you were describing it.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person. I love analogies, and I thought of like a sticky ball that is the pure thought, and everything that cluttered it and got stuck with it, and it's hard to kind of get rid of that and get that off to get back to center.
Yeah.
And so it's
and when you become centered, that sticky ball that's at the center, that sticky ball is the thought that you can direct really clearly and focus really well, and it's basically, in a way, that's kind of like your natural state, your individual self, your personality, whatever you want to say. I like to think of a fish in an ocean. The fish being your pure self, and there's all these other schools of fish that come around and affect that fish. And all those other things that are
coming in.
School of thought.
Sorry, I was totally off track.
Thank you for that pun.
I didn't mean to sideswipe you. Okay.
That's okay, I love puns. But
they get affected by
they get affected, and so all those other thoughts stick onto the sticky ball, and they start to pull it this way, pull it that way, pull it this way, pull it that way. You're so distracted suddenly because there's all this stuff, there's all this desire, there's all this fear, there's all this whatever, where the fish just wants to swim. The sticky ball just wants to exist, I guess. Maybe it doesn't want anything. That's probably more accurate. And when all that is happening, you can't really follow your drive. You can't follow the purpose of your life, the thing that really defines you at the core. Instead, you're distracted all over the place.
I think almost everybody could not correlate, feel that way at some point in their life. Relate, thank you. Everybody can relate that there's times in their life, if not all the time, where you just feel like you're pulled so many different ways. And to be able to focus, like, I really, really relate to that sticky ball being pulled so many ways. And I really want to incorporate in my life a lot more calm and balanced times that I can sit down and just relax and get rid of all the clutter. Yeah. I want to delve into this. I know it's going to be a little, I don't know if controversial is the right word, because I do believe in medicine. I believe there's a place for it. But I feel like, it's just a Misty opinion, we're just completely over-medicated. I was on medication for 12 years, and it numbed me, and it helped me go through my life. But it's like, what good was that? Because I didn't experience... Valium? It was actually Lexapro.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Well, it was an antidepressant, so I thought. But what I've come to learn, because I went off of it last year, is that I didn't know how to manage my feelings. I didn't know how to allow certain feelings to exist and be okay with it. I was fighting them all the time. So instead of, if we're going to go with this analogy of the sticky ball, because I feel like that's kind of an easy one to relate to, is I would have things happen and I didn't allow them to, and if, it's going to go a little deeper here. So take that sticky ball and things get attached. Maybe there's the influence or whatever. When a person can allow that to happen and then just go on its way, and then it doesn't stick to you.
Yeah.
But when it gets stuck and then you fight it, it's almost like, oh, what movie was it? Well, quicksand. The more you fight, the more you sink or whatever. Yeah. But if you can just slow and allow things to just happen, and I feel like so far in my life, and again, this is just Misty, when I allow things to happen, and allow feelings to go through me, they don't stay. And I think the biggest fear in my life is that if I am okay with this feeling, then it's going to stay and haunt me and stick. And really, it's the opposite. When I let it go, it doesn't stick. I become stickless. Anyway, I feel like kind of reining it back in a little bit with I'm trying to figure out how to kind of rein it back into that analogy. With all the influences in our life and feeling like that medicine, if it's there to numb you, for me, my personal experience is I forgot how to manage my emotions. And I don't know if I ever truly learned how to manage my emotions. But I do know last year I learned, and I'm still learning. I'm still in that journey, which I do believe wellness is a journey, right? Yeah. There is no finish line. Yeah. It's a continual learning process. And experiences are there for us to, give us learning. Anyway, so with the topic of learning how to manage our emotions and being able to sit with ourselves, the breathing exercises, the meditation or concentration, I feel like people, if they looked outside of what's shoved into their brains and thought, what can I actually do? Where can I find self and balance and whatnot? And I definitely feel like meditation, yoga, mindfulness, those are the things that have brought me to it for sure.
Totally.
Brought a lot of balance to my brain.
Yeah. Meditation is really just sitting with your emotions. Not thinking that you have to go. I'm reading this book called The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. Do you know who Alan Watts is? Mm-hmm. He's a fantastic speaker. Well, he's dead now, so
he
was a fantastic speaker. But he's talking about Zen, and there's a quote in it that I can't remember exactly the wordage. But if you ask a Buddhist how to meditate or what meditation is, then they'll just tell you, I'm just sitting. I have nothing else to do. And so it's kind of just like you are just sitting and being and experiencing what is happening to you right now, whether that's good or bad or whatever. And we could take that into our lives, and when something comes up and makes us angry or upset or sad or even happy, or we're experiencing some kind of pain or some kind of pleasure, some kind of desire, some kind of fear, we can look at it, experience it, and choose, okay, I'm going to go into it, I'm going to go another way, I'm going to just sit and not do anything, whatever. But when we meditate, we are more able to access that space in our daily life. That's why I really think meditation is probably the best thing for people to be doing. Just in general. It can help with everything, really.
I love that. That's beautiful. One thing that we have here at Mindful Living is float tanks, and
totally a meditative experience.
It kind of pushed me into realizing what that was, to sit with myself, because I had the opportunity where I couldn't reach for my phone. My mind's always going, and what I need to do, my list that I've got, and being in the float pod, you're committed, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna be here. Takes a minute, some time. Well, the very first time it took a few minutes for me to turn off my brain. Now I feel like I just get right back in. I know exactly where to go. Yeah. And but I find it fascinating that when you find a space, whether it's a float tank or your room or whatever, you kind of learning and training yourself how to sit with yourself.
Keep going. I just wanted to check.
I often wonder how often people meditate and they don't even realize it. Like
Yeah.
when you're going to bed at night, sometimes you're just sitting with yourself and you're allowing thoughts to go through, and you might organize your thoughts, but they don't understand that they're learning how to communicate with self. And when you learn how to communicate with self, then you can manage your emotions. And I love how you put it where, you know, you experience the feelings and emotions that you have, because I think all too often we fight it. I'm not supposed to be mad. I'm not supposed to get upset.
That's what
I'm
we're
not
taught.
supposed. What's that?
That's what we're taught.
Exactly.
We're not supposed to feel these things.
And yet, it's everything we are supposed to do. It's what we do with it.
It's everything we can do. I don't know. I feel like the word should or supposed to or whatever, deserve even, it's just like we can experience that thing because that's part of life. Whether or not we should or are supposed to, that's our destiny to experience that. I'm not so sure about that. You know.
Interesting. I like it. I love words, and
yeah, me too.
It's so interesting just with the switch of some words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was telling you a little bit about my past when I was a personal trainer. I focused on internal change before I would even do anything with them physically in any type of routine. We went through internal mind practices. I didn't know it at the time what I was really getting into, which is interesting because it definitely has led me down the road I'm at now. But we would focus on words, and it was believe, and they would incorporate that word into their just every thought for a week, and then the next word, the next week, and then so we'd go through a practice where.
What was this in?
This was just I created
therapy?
This. Yeah, a physical or personal trainer.
Personal training. Wow,
so,
what a way to start.
As a personal trainer, I thought I can't bring someone to the gym and be like, all right, here's your routine, do it. Obviously, they made a choice to go there, and that was that. But I would see so many people, they'd start their routine, they had their goals, and then just fall off. So I'm like, what's missing? And I'm like, it's internal. They have to believe that they can do it, and then they have to know the words to tell themselves. And so the words, I think I'm going to finish my book. It's just a little book, but I want to finish it. The first week, you incorporate the word believe. Whatever that looks like for the person. I'm not giving them affirmations. They get to do those on their own. It's just a word.
It's just something that they want to believe in, or something that they...
I believe I can get up this morning. I believe I can go here. Like, basically, I just want them to use the word in sentences. And they have to create, kind of like in the space where you're sharing your meditation and that guide, they have to do the work to incorporate it in their lives. Instead of giving them a statement to say and memorize. Because mantras are good, but it's like, what can their brain and their neurological pathways create and then practice and forage that neurological pathway so that it's strong? That first week they have a word. They've been working on this word. So now they believe. And they're using it in their consciousness and stuff. And then the second week is I can. Whatever that means. I can get up. I can go to work today. I can, whatever that is. And then the third week was release. Because, and not to go into all Misty's stuff, but I feel like...
in any into my stuff. You know your stuff.
Well, people, if you lose weight, that's the common word, right? I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Do you want to lose weight? It's everywhere. Well, what happens if you lose your keys? Was that on purpose? Did you mean to lose your keys?
Maybe.
If you lose something, the connotation is, oops, I didn't mean to. Yeah. So if you want to lose weight, really what you're telling your brain is, this is going to be a chance. This is, maybe this will happen. I hope so, instead of a full, like, I can do this.
Or it brings up the idea of like a loss. I don't have this anymore. Oh God, what am I going to do without this?
Yeah. Yeah, like all the words that it is stuck to don't equate a good thing when you, and most of the time when people would come for physical training or personal training, it was to lose weight. But it's funny because it's just conditioned, we say it. But anyway, so my goal was to get them to think more. I release the weight. It could be anything. I release this addiction. I release this bad habit. But to incorporate that word is a choice, as a conscious effort, you're in control of it. Some people don't like the word control, but whatever, right? And then I can't remember the last week. I have to go back to the little book I was writing. It's all in my Google stuff. But anyway, my logo or my tagline was to create change, it must start within, or something like that. Boy, I can't remember anything today. But yeah, so I feel like with words, the way we think truly equates to the way we act. I mean, it starts within.
Yeah. In yoga, they talk about how energy is the basis of all the things we do. It's who we are. It makes up the contents of our body. I mean, even in science and physics, they talk about that, you know. I'm not a physicist, so I can't go into depth with that.
But scientifically, we are 5% matter and 95% energy.
Yeah.
Our bodies are literally 5% matter.
But I have
Sorry.
this is kind of random. Maybe I should say it after. But I have someone else that you can interview. He's a physicist.
Really?
And
that'd be fascinating.
Is a very interesting guy. Yeah, but I'll tell you about him after.
Okay, I love it.
You guys are gonna have to wait to see if she actually interviews him. But anyway, of course I lost.
Sorry, I wrote that.
Energy. So it starts with energy. Whatever it is we're trying to change, whatever it is we're trying to do, whatever it is we're trying to think, and then it manifests as emotion and thought and feeling, and then it manifests as in the world, you know.
Yes.
Physical. And so if you can step back to thought, like you're saying, the mental body, then you're much closer to the energy. If you could step all the way back to the energy and just get the feeling, well, I guess the feeling's not really energy, but if you can step all the way back to the feeling and maybe put an intention into that feeling, into that energy, then that would be the most powerful. But that's actually the purpose of Yoga Nidra, is that you drop into a space of such physical and mental stillness that you have access to that unconscious mind and that energy that you can place attention into and change your life that way.
Wow.
And the point of it is really to, well, maybe this isn't the point. One of the benefits is you don't really have to do a lot of work except for do the Yoga Nidra. You have to do it every day, every other day, once a week, you know. But the more that you can plant that seed in yourself, in your unconscious, the more powerful the change is going to be. And that's kind of what you're doing with the words. You're planting seeds. Because believe is a really powerful seed. Can is a very powerful seed. Release is a really powerful seed. Yeah.
I love that. I think somewhere, and I don't remember where, but does energy in, id, energy out, is that what you were referring to just barely? Okay, another time.
Not familiar.
That's okay. So I had a thought when you were discussing, or I would say that, when we were discussing the intention and placing a thought, I feel like learning a foreign language. Like if you're learning something, you practice it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to know and be able to know how to communicate with yourself, know how to manage your emotions and your thoughts and all of these things that we've discussed, it's practice. A good sports player, they practice. Anybody that's going to school for something, you know, that studying is practice. And so I don't think anyone should beat themselves up. Forgive. That was the fourth word. Oh. It was forgive, because we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we need to forgive. And I think if that's a word you focus on too, then you're inviting that, you know, you're creating that energy. And anyway, I just think people need to forgive themselves a little more often and not expect that perfection right away, and just know that it's a continual practice. People say that all the time, you know, their practice of yoga or whatever. And just go easy on yourself. If you're starting something new, or if you're, you know, wanting to incorporate certain things in your life, it's okay to start small. By a simple word, it's okay.
But also don't be upset with yourself for not going easy on yourself for the things that you might mistakenly did.
Just be nice.
Just be nice. I found a post on Reddit about, it was in like the spirituality subreddit or something like that, and this guy, he posted the cheat code to life. I wish I remembered his name or whatever, so I could give him credit. But the two cheat codes were be nice and relax. That's it. Perfect. Be nice to whatever it is, whether it's a plant, a table, a person, yourself, and then relax.
Those are, like, seriously, you can have those tattooed on your forehead.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see it.
When you look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
No, it's true. Those are beautiful words to live by. I like that. Be nice. and relax. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, as we wrap this up, just a little more, we're going to wrap it up with you. So what are some of your favorite things to go outside and do?
We'll have an electric bike, and I was gonna recommend getting it, but it's really expensive. They have cheap ones at Costco. Go to Costco. Product placement. Costco sponsor us.
Right?
But I love riding my electric bike around because it's like riding a vehicle, a car, but it's slower so you can really experience the world. I like walking because you can experience the world. When we drive, we're always in a hurry from point A to point B. And when you can slow down, I mean, you can't slow down with a car because everyone's going to honk at you.
Right.
But you're not really, you're separated. You're in a shell, from the world around you.
Yeah.
But when you can slow down and be in the space, like riding a skateboard or riding a bike or walking or whatever it is.
In your face.
Yeah, you really experience the world. You can stop, look around, see the buildings, see the people, see the shapes of things, the colors of things. We're very, very visual people because, sight is our primary means of understanding the world.
Yeah.
And so going out and experiencing it visually, that's why I like riding the electric bike, really, because I get to experience the world in a much different way than really most people do.
I think that's beautiful. I had a thought going back to our analogy of a little sticky ball, and when maybe we're over medicated and numb, when you said the car and you're just numb, you're numb to everything around you. You're not experiencing anything. Yes,
your plastic music, you can't hear anything.
Yeah, it is literally just this little ball to get you point A to point B, which I am grateful for. It allows for a lot of things, but it's definitely not a way to experience the world. And I think that just taking a moment to walk barefoot on the earth or ride a bike.
Or with shoes, you guys don't have to be barefoot.
I love the earth. Nature is, I love it. I guess my parents knew what they were doing when they named me Misty, but
when you were talking about the analogy of letting things go through you, and you said your name, I was just like, mist. She's mist. Things just go right through the mist.
Oh, I love that.
And then the mist just reforms or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love poetic imagery, analogies. It's just how I think we can connect and relate so well. It's a communication. It's a very universal communication. To be able, whatever language it is, if you can get somebody to feel the emotion by a story or something, you connect, and it's like, I know what you're talking about in my own way.
That is exactly like the kind of idea that I really want to put out into the world, and actually want to create a community around this idea of feeling. We all feel. We all feel love. We all feel pain. We all feel good things and bad things, whatever they are. We may feel them, we may love this thing, or we may love this thing. We may hate this thing, we may hate this thing. We may have differences in opinions, but we all have opinions. We all experience the world in the same exact way, really. But we like and dislike things differently. So if we can just see the things that we like and dislike, and not hate on people for not liking and disliking the same things as us, they're still liking and disliking things.
Yeah.
So it's like the experience. I guess it kind of goes back to the sticky ball and the likes and dislikes. We hold on to those things so dearly. But if we just see that we are experiencing in the same exact way that another person is experiencing, whether the emotions are different at a different time, whatever, but the emotions are all still there, we are exactly the same. We're not different. And so that idea alone, as soon as you realize that, it can bring people together.
Yeah, that connection.
Yeah.
I love that. And something here, give little plugs for Mindful, is, we're trying to promote or create community, provide a place. Right now, it's really difficult with this physical distancing and whatnot, which we measured, we're 6 feet.
Are we? I don't know.
But
our feet are not. Our feet are like 2 feet, 2 or 3 feet.
We want to be able to still help people, feel a sense of connection while following the procedures and following the mandates, everything that, to keep us safe. So we are offering a lot of virtual things we're going to be launching here pretty soon, but just so you can still feel connected, and this in and of itself, just being able to kind of connect with us virtually on the podcast. And thank you for bringing video to Mindful. But make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. It's at Mind Utah on Insta, and then Mindful Living on Facebook. And then, of course, you can visit our website, Mind Utah, and see what classes we have going on. We are still holding in-person classes if that's something that you want to do. Michael's going to be teaching a few classes here. You'll have to stay tuned for that. And speaking of which, tell us about what's coming up on November 29th.
So we are going to be, I and two of my partners are going to be, whenever I say partners, I think of like a poly relationship or something like that. Colleagues, yes, that's a better word. Business partners, that fixes it. We are going to be hosting a cacao ceremony here. If anybody is not familiar with cacao, it's basically like hot chocolate that opens your heart and invigorates you, enlivens you, and it allows you to go really deep in meditation. Not deeper than you are willing to go, but deep enough that you want to go and need to go. And so we do a little bit of yoga, asana, the physical practice, a little bit of breath practice, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of yoga nidra, like I was talking about earlier, and sound bath that's kind of distributed throughout. And we all do it intuitively. We read the people that are in the room and see where we need to go, what we need to do, what things we need to say. And so it's very different every time we do it.
It's very individual and
unique.
It's very
individual and unique. And that is probably what makes us, unique in our own way, is that we focus on the people.
And to let people that are listening and watching know, cacao there's no drug or anything in it. It is the pure form of the cocoa bean,
chocolate.
Right? The cacao.
It's literally chocolate before it is processed into chocolate bars.
The dark with no sugar.
Well, but then we add sugar.
Okay, well,
so
that's
that you can actually drink it. So it's not disgusting.
Awesome. And we do have the information on our website for that, and we'll continue to get some things up. But we have limited spacing, but you can book through our website. And again, that's mindutah.com. And we're just super glad to have Michael on the Mindful team.
Mindful Michael.
Mindful Michael, welcome. Anyways, we are excited for the new year and the new things that the 2021 will bring. We'll have a few more podcasts before the end of the year, so stay tuned, and maybe it'll be your physicist friend. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Physics.
Thank you so much for joining us, you guys.
Yeah.
Have a mindful week. Toot, 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 toots.